in the middle of the night, like I would say, like maybe around midnight. There was another storm. So today I'm just going out to check how my garden is doing, if there's been any damage, and get whatever harvest I need to get. I didn't go to the garden yesterday. I didn't have to water my plants, and frankly, I'm trying to wait things out a little bit to see if there's, I can get any, like, get bulk harvest at once instead of trickles. Because now we're nearing the end of the summer season. The weather is no longer like so hot, except maybe in the midday. So that gives enough time for the tomatoes and peppers to start ripening, because they begin to ripen at a less hotter temperature. So like maybe 70s. If you have 70s, you can see tomatoes ripening more so than if the weather is constantly in the high 80s and 90s. So that's where we're at right now. I have my bee suit on because I'm gonna be leaning, touching plants and peppers, and there's gonna be some bees doing their own thing in the garden while I try to do my thing. So yeah, that's why I got this on. It's my basket. This is my basket for peppers. And maybe I might have some okras. I don't know. Let's see. Guys, let me just stick to one basket. It's just easier that way. Let me get my other gloves and scissors. I'll keep going. Today I'm not taking my other, toolbox. I'm just gonna put whatever I need here, so I don't have to carry too many things. And in case you might be wondering, it's 7 o'clock, well, 7:13 here. The degrees, about late 80s, early 70s. I forgot. I checked it this morning, but then I forgot. But it's not hot at all. So that's the beauty of this. And the rain just falls first. I know that I harvest over there. I want to see if there's been any damage. Let me flip my camera around. So this is my corn, a new okra area. Oh, finally I'm getting some flowers. So this is promising, guys, for my okra. And then my corn, some tassels. The baby corn is still there, it's doing good. The storm didn't do much damage over here, so that's great. Cucumbers. I spied a little female cucumber the other day from our restroom right there, but it was just one. It had this like little cucumber growing like this size against a flower, so it was really cool. But that's the only one I've seen so far. I've not seen any other cucumbers growing, and we're about to end the season, so I don't know if anything's gonna grow, but that's okay. Sometimes we gain some, sometimes we lose, That was my first time planting cucumbers. So this gardening season, planted so many new things and learned so many things. Okay, now let's get to our work. Okay, over here, I was trying to grow okra. So let's see. Okay, so this is the rain. This is how my garden looks after the rain. At this point, I think my garden is storm proof. It's kind of like used to the storm, so there's nothing much that's happened. like I can see physically. Maybe when I start going through the plants, I'm gonna see. But right now, I don't see much. I have stakes all around them, so maybe that's why. Yeah. And I will just pray that nothing huge damage happens. So let's see. Okay. Welcome in. For those who are just joining, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat. Over here are my tomatoes and my beans. It just rained, so even if I was going to collect any beans, I wouldn't do it right now because it's going to be wet. So it's better if I wait until it's no longer wet. Matter of fact, no, I want to do. I want to wear my gloves. So thankfully, there's been no damage so far that I'm seeing from the rain. Um, the other day when I was in my garden, this is one thing I was like my lesson learned from gardening this year. I saw a lot of tomatoes at the bottom that I didn't reach. So like 5 to 7 of them, they had gone bad because I didn't reach them in time, or I didn't even see them. And that's because I planted so many tomatoes. I couldn't really see what's going on. Can you give me tips for gardening? Because I want to make a garden. What do you want to grow? Like, do you have any do you have space? I don't know. There's so many tips I can give. Is there specific things that your questions that you might have? So I can maybe answer your questions directly, or you just want to know anything specifically about gardening? Just general tips, or the specific questions you might have. And if I'm able to answer, I'll let you know. Okay. So that's my lesson learned though. This right here, I did too much. Typically people say, oh, don't just let the plant do their own thing. Don't have to prune them. The tomatoes, blah blah blah. So I said, you know what, this year let me try not pruning. And so I didn't prune my tomato plants. I just let them do whatever they wanted to do. I only pruned the bottom for airflow. And what happened? It became like a bush. So I would say for my own lesson learned is next time I'm gardening my tomatoes that are indeterminate, I'm gonna make sure that I work on constant pruning. And when you're pruning, you want to prune the suckers. So the suckers are the ones that come in between like the branches. For example, there's a V. If there's a V here like this, then there will be something growing out of here like that. That right there growing out is a sucker. I can't see one right now. That's a sucker. And that becomes, if you allow it to grow, can yield tomatoes. But there are so many suckers that grow on a tomato that if you leave them like that, they become like, and this is still growing. It's taller than I am right now. See that? And if it's not properly managed, you end up with a bush, and then you make them harvest because the old place is too full. All right. So since Christoph, I can just tell you general things about gardening if you don't have any specific questions. In general, I would say gardening requires patience, for sure. So if you are trying to learn how to be patient, start gardening. It will teach you to be patient. You can't necessarily force things to be the way you want it to be. So you have to take your time to grow. The other thing is that if you've never started a garden before and you want to start a garden, you want to make sure that you look at the location and you're checking for adequate sunlight depending on what you want to grow. So if you want to grow something that requires full sunlight, you want to make sure that where you're going to locate your garden, that the area has full sunlight. That means from when the sun rises to when the sun sets, for at least because it hits your garden, right? If you want to plant you want to grow crops that need partial sunlight, then maybe you don't really care about full sunlight, so you want your garden to be in that kind of area, right? That's one garden tip I would tell you that is very, very important. Otherwise, you end up growing things and start fighting with yourself, like, why is my stuff not growing? It's not growing because it doesn't have enough sunlight that it needs to grow. And the next thing you want to think about is a water source, right? You want to make sure you have your garden around an area where you can easily get water to feed them, because gardens, your plants needs water, sunlight, and a good soil, right? So those are the three things I'll talk about. So you want to make sure that wherever you plant your, my nose, you want to make sure wherever you decide to garden that you have a good source of water, so you can easily go there and grab water for your plants. Okay. And then lastly, in terms of just the three major tips, soil. Okay, the condition of your soil really matters, and also in what you're planting. Some plants like sandy soil, some like clay soil, some like, whatever. So the different kind of soils for different kind of plants. So whenever you make sure that, okay, the soil I have or the soil I want to put into my garden, does it cater to what I'm trying to plant? Because that's also very important. If you have good sunlight, you have good water, but your soil is not the soil that your plant needs to flourish, your plant is gonna not grow. Okay. And I saw that happen to my plants, my jute leaves that I grew this year. I planted them over here, and this soil here is a little bit, I won't say clay, but it's thick, and so it kept closing up like this, morning to evening. I was wondering what's wrong. This soil here is good. It's rich in horse manure. It has all the things you need. What's going on here? So only for me to find out that my jute prefers more of a sandy soil than anything else. So in that case, you can easily already know that is why it wasn't growing. So I moved it to another area in my space here, not in the garden, somewhere else, and it started flourishing. Now every week I have something to harvest from my jute section, because I noticed and observed, paid attention to my garden. So yes, so another thing you have to do is pay attention. If you do not pay attention, today, tomorrow might not look good. There's constantly pests around the area, you know. As you are trying to grow your tomatoes, there are other things they're trying to eat because they're hungry. It's the cycle of life. So you have to be here in your garden quite frequently to just make sure things are good. Okay. And what watering your plant daily does is that it allows you to come into your garden and kind of inspect what is going on. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can get anything here. Like I was saying, I feel like my harvest has kind of slowed down than it was before. So I hope those tips were helpful for you, Krista. So as you water your plants every day, you want to check to see your garden, see how your plants are doing, and address any things that you might see as you go along. Because what happened yesterday something else might happen today, right? Your garden might look good today, but tomorrow looks crazy, like what just happened overnight. Yeah, because bugs be working day and night. They work tirelessly trying to get your food, trying to get food. Like you work hard, like eight to 5, right? Yeah. Some of them are overnight workers, so they work while you're sleeping. Ugh, my tomatoes. See, that's what I'm saying. I didn't get a hold of my tomatoes on time, so look, a lot of them are getting wasted. All right, another important tip when you want to start your garden is pay attention to companion planting. Okay, companion planting will allow your garden to grow maybe as organically possible as you can. And when I say that, it means that it reduces your chances of having to use pesticides or anything. I don't use pesticides on my garden. Um, so, and that's because I do organic planting. And so what organic planting does that sorry, companion planting, sorry, companion planting. Companion planting is basically planting crops beside each other that help each other. Meaning that you're planting, for example, tomatoes like basils and basils like tomatoes. What basils does for tomatoes is that it drives away pests from tomatoes, right? Um, so pests that would have naturally just destroyed my tomato plants won't do that anymore because I planted basils beside it. So planting basils beside it will now prevent those kind of pests from coming close to my tomatoes, right? So basil does not drive away all pests, you know. So at least some of the pests I don't have to worry about anymore because my basil will take care of it. So things like that, those are things that are important when you're gardening to pay attention to reduce your need to apply any pesticides. All right, so companion planting, very important. And those informations you can easily find them on Google. There's an app I think called Planter also that you can pay for. I usually pay for it early in the season. It helps me organize my plant as well as this is Cherokee purple tomato right here. Helps me organize the plant as well as tell me what companions I can plant beside my tomatoes or my peppers or whatever I'm planting. Okay. And then if another tip is if you don't have much space, consider square foot gardening. Square foot gardening allows you to maximize your space. You know, I've also heard about vertical gardening. I have never done vertical gardening before, so I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about what I know, I've used and worked. And one of it is square foot gardening. Square foot gardening allows you to maximize your space. So I don't have a big space here, but I'm able to plant more because I'm really measuring the space I have and maximizing the space. So you're planting by the square foot. So square foot gardening, each plant has how many plant you can plant per square foot, right? For example, tomatoes is one tomato per four square foot. Peppers is 1 square foot per peppers. Now the caveat to that though, because I'll be getting too excited and just be planting the everything per square foot, and then I can't even see what I'm planting. I would say that even though you do a square foot method, you want to at least give spaces between 1 or 2 square foot per row. And I say that you can plant companion plants there that are not so huge, so that eventually when the plants do start growing, you can kind of attend to them better, you know. But if you plant by the square really crazily, it's going to be like hard to harvest things, okay? That's one thing I would say, that when you're doing square foot gardening, even though you give some space for the plants still, you know, even though likely they're going to be fine per the square foot, you'll find out that it becomes you begin to have a forest that if you're not careful you can't really manage well, which is what I've experienced here. Okay, all right, if there are any question, hi Fatcher, we're here just talking about tips for gardening. Right here is my pepper plants or my pepper forest. It's really foresty still, and I use the square foot gardening method. But what I like about it is that it allows me to use my small space to plant as many things as possible. This right here is my cayenne peppers. So I planted ghost pepper on this side, ghost pepper and cayenne pepper, and of course I planted companion plants with it to drive away um, pests and to attract good bugs to my plant. Okay, that's what companion planting does. All right. Let me see. I'm checking to see if there's any harvest. But like I said, it looks like a forest. And if you don't mind that and you're cool with that, then go for it. All right. Let's harvest some things over here. Any other question? Drop it in the chat. I'll be happy to answer. Almost feels like my tomato. My tomatoes are done. It feels like that. I'm gonna be looking closely to see if I could if I'm gonna what do you call it? Start pulling out my tomato plants just to allow the ones that are still growing enough visibility so I can grab what I need to grab. All right. The easiest pepper plants, if you're thinking of planting peppers and you don't like too much heat in your peppers, cayenne pepper is one to grow. Of all peppers, it's the easiest one to grow. In my opinion, and in my experience, I've planted them how many cycles now? I think 2 or 3 cycles. And in all cycles, in all 3 times, they started growing faster. They bring you the yield, they get ripened faster, they sprout faster. And I don't know if it's because it's tinier or it has less heat. I don't know. But cayenne pepper does its own thing faster than, like, say, ghost pepper or habaneros. And I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe it's because it's smaller or it's not that hot. I don't know. I think it might be because it's smaller. Because I've also I've planted bell peppers, sweet bell peppers, and they took forever. So I'm thinking it's the size. It's the size that makes them grow um, easily than anything. Yeah, and they're very flavorful. They're very nice. I use them in like noodles, noodles, fried rice. Just chop it up. Okay, chop it up and eat it. So that's why I like. That's why I like cayenne peppers. And I heard that it helps with arthritis pain. So if you have arthritis pain, consider growing cayenne peppers. And I didn't hear it just like from the internet. Okay, my mother-in-law also tried it, and she said she felt better when she used the cayenne peppers. So I know that it works because I have a personal experience with it from someone close to me. Okay. All right, is all I can see, guys. This year I didn't plant so many okras, but typically when I plant okras, hey, every other day I have to come here and harvest them, or else they will go bad. You can come in today and it's like this tall, and the next day it's like this, twice. So you like to monitor it very closely. Okay, I'm seeing more ghost peppers. Woohoo! Lovely, lovely, love it. Okay. So my goal for tomatoes has been 24 bags, big Ziploc bags to feed my family for the next year. For peppers, it's just as many as I can get. To be honest with you, as compared to tomatoes, one tomato plant will yield more fruit than the pepper plant would. Another thing is that if you don't have space and you like heat in your spice, it's better to plant things that are spicy, very hot. That way, when you cook, you don't use that many of it. So they last longer. See that? Makes sense, right? All right. If I wasn't wearing my bee suit, I can't lean forward like I just did. Because the heat of the pepper will catch me. At this point, I feel like I need to bring in my big basket now for my peppers and not my tomatoes anymore. Okay. There's this ones that are here. Let me see if I've harvested them. No. Chocolate ghost pepper. Okay. This pepper here is my husband's favorite, the ghost pepper. It's also very flavorful for cooking stew. That's what we use it for. We blend it with our tomatoes for stew. Okay. Oh, it wasn't complete. You're ready. This is what we have so far. Ouch. So these days we're getting more pepper harvest than we are tomatoes. I'm cool with it. I'm happy because so far I have 16 bags of tomatoes. So we're almost close to our 24 bags. I'm sure by the end of the summer we will get there. So nothing to worry about. It's always cool when you come from another angle, you see more things that you missed before. So I came this way and then I saw more peppers that I missed. So I'm gonna go try get some more peppers on this side. Yeah, this is perfect. There's more over there. By the end of this week, they're gonna be ready. All right. Okay. I'm gonna quickly go outside and check what's going on that side, and I'll be back. All right. I got some harvest over here. Before going there, I like to check first. Oh Lord. Oh, I dropped my peppers on the floor. It's okay. All right. Guys, let's go. Come with me. This place is so tight. I'd rather just leave you guys here and then show you guys what I got. All right. So when you plant in forest like that, that's what happens. So this is a ghost pepper. So you guys see the variety of ghost peppers, how they're growing. Let me show you browner one. These are all ghost peppers, but different varieties. My favorite color is the red one. I mean yellow one, sorry. It's really cute. All right, guys. So that's all for today's harvest Sunday morning. Let me show you guys all what we got today. This here. Not a lot of tomatoes, but we're cool. We're happy. We're thankful. Thank God. My tomatoes and peppers I grow last me at least a year. So it's definitely worth it. Peppers has lasted 2 years from the last time I grew. Last time I did peppers was 2024. I still have a bag left from last 2 years. And in terms of the heat, it's still hot. So for me, the best way to preserve peppers is freezing them. They last at least 2 years. As you can see, I'm using them till now. Tomatoes, that one goes by fast. It only lasts a year whenever I grow it, or almost a year. But this time I'm being intentional, like in calculating how many I save up first before I'm able to, like, I mean, I've been giving out some, but to give out more, I want to first like gather enough for my family, and then after that I'll give out more. So yeah, same with peppers. I've only filled one Ziploc bag so far, but I plan to fill at least, it'd be nice to have like 10 bags if possible, but we're gonna see because the summer season is already almost over. But thank you guys all for tuning with me. Thank you for your questions, and I hope to see you in the next live. Bye. Have a wonderful Sunday.